All right, good morning. It's Friday. How we doing today? Cameron,
Well,
Cameron, how you doing, brother?
man, it's Firearms Friday. I'm doing pretty damn good, even though Joe Biden wants to take away all the 40 millimeters. I mean, the 9 millimeters.
I mean, all the guns that take multiple rounds. Yeah,
Hey,
those.
you know what? I'll make that compromise. Give me my cannon. I can play this game, sweetheart.
Yeah,
I can do it.
Yeah, that's fine. You want to compromise? I'll take my M203 and we can repeal the tax stamps on the ammunition.
Yeah, you know what? While we're at it, I just want a bazooka, just because bazooka.
Yeah, so, and funny story. So, the Wildman stuff, I've got the costume rigged up for it, and Fee made me a wonderful bandolier for 40 millimeter grenade shells. The character's carrying an old China Lake style M74 grenade launcher. It's a standalone grenade launcher. Basically, it looks like a nasty blunderbuss / shotgun, but it shoots 40 millimeter grenades. And so I've got a bunch of 40 millimeter airsoft grenades, and they're all metallic and in different colors. So, you know, one of the little gimmicks for the character is going to be, I drop a red grenade in and it's HE. I drop a blue grenade in and it's like an EMP or something like that. But, I throw that bandolier on. The funny thing about the fake 40 millimeter grenades, they're twice as heavy as a real 40 millimeter grenade. Because I've worn 40 mics on my tactical vest in actual combat. And they're about the size and weight of a Coca-Cola can. They're a little bit smaller, a little bit heavier, but not much. The fake ones, the toy ones, Jesus, those sons of bitches are work to carry around.
See, I'm still stuck on the fact that I just want my cannon. It's a thing.
It would make me happy.
Okay, this is what you guys asked for. You should look up punt guns. Hey, it's just one round.
It's just one round.
Took out an entire lake worth of ducks in one go, but hey, just one round.
So, I don't know if we're going to... I've got the scorecard up because it is Firearms Friday. I don't know if we're actually going to get to scoring any articles today because we're going to talk about constitutional carry. And the first thing... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, in other words, the Second Amendment as intended.
Yes, and that's exactly what I was about to get to. So, I'm not sure... one more thing before we actually get into the show this morning. We had two shows do a little bit better than our average this week, and we picked up like a 10% bump in subscribership over the last two nights. Guys, thanks. Seriously, from the heart, that's awesome. We appreciate the hell out of that. So far, I've got Trish and Danny in the comments. Good morning, ladies. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We love you. Danny, it was great talking to you and Alex last night. We had fun. We had fun pontificating about billionaires spending their money however the hell they want to, because screw you, you bunch of commies.
Right.
Because quite simply, if it weren't for commies, there would be nobody in need of charity on the face of this planet. That's not an opinion. That is a data-backed fact. So, constitutional carry. The first thing that I noticed about constitutional carry as I was doing research this morning for this show. Hey, Ma's with us. Good morning, Mom. Love you. The first thing I noticed about constitutional carry as I was doing my research this morning is there's just not enough information out there. Hey, hit your mute for me, Cameron. There's a painful dearth of articles regarding constitutional carry out there. Most of the articles I found were 3, 4, 5 years old or more. In fact, most of them were at least 10 years old, which is bothersome and worrisome, not just because I'd like to see more information, I'd like to see more people talking about it, but especially right now, right? Normally, when there's action going on in an arena, you see media referencing that action. Hey, Geraldine's with us. Good Lord, it's Ladies' Day today. That's awesome. I know what it is. I put those pretty girls on the thumbnail, and all the ladies thought, hey, they're talking to me. Yes, ladies, I am. I'm even going to talk about feminism this morning because guns, right? So the reason I find it alarming that there's not more information out there easily retrievable on the issue of constitutional carry is this is the year 2021, which is amusing because currently we have 21 states in the Union, a little less than half. 21 states are constitutional carry, right? We're not going to go into great detail on each individual states because, it's only a half-hour show. But of those 21 states, 7 of them became constitutional carry states this year. So basically the response to the election of Joe Biden through whatever deep manner of amphibious priapism put that ungodly stain on our country, the response from the people of the United States of America have been to take back their rights. So when you start talking about constitutional carry and a state passing a law about constitutional carry, what you're talking about is not a state giving rights to its citizenry. What you're talking about is a state respecting the Constitution and the rights of the citizens. If you live in a state that is not currently a constitutional carry state, it means that every politician, every elected official, every police officer, every member of your state National Guard, every person that holds a sworn office and has sworn the oath to keep and protect and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America is in violation of the law, having violated their oath of office.
You mean like here in Georgia where we had a legislative session and we could have passed some version of constitutional carry and then didn't do it? You mean kind of like
yes.
that?
And in fact, in that case, I would go so far as to argue that anyone who is currently elected, I will make this concession. Anyone who is currently elected and did not previously vote on any law to restrict your right to keep and bear arms, and has either not voted or voted in the affirmative for a law to repeal the unconstitutional restriction of your right to keep and bear arms and defend your own life, liberty, and property, I would go so far as to argue that that person is only in violation of the law insofar as they are voluntarily incapable of adhering to the law. Right? I would say that they are guilty of the crime of breaching their oath of office in the same way that a person who doesn't realize that their turn signal is out has broken the traffic law by failing to signal when they turn. It wasn't intentional. It was involuntary. But it was negligent.
Well, I mean, but let's face it, the people that get elected to office in a state like Georgia understand their constituency. And we do have a Republican-controlled state house here. We have a Republican-controlled Senate. Some measure of constitutional carry, even a watered-down version of constitutional carry, would be an absolute no-brainer and would guarantee all these people re-election. So it is extremely disappointing. And then we have our governor, and golly, talk about how things can change in a year. If you'd have asked me a year ago how I felt about Brian Kemp, I would have said, in fact, I did say when he was the first governor to start to lift the lockdown restrictions, that he was one of the best governors in the country. But over the past year, his abdication of leadership and the fact that he didn't use his bully pulpit to say, hey, put a constitutional carry bill on my desk and I will sign it. The fact that that didn't happen is it's not a positive mark in his favor.
Right,
And
when
then you've
when
got
Kemp
Vernon
was
Jones.
right, and when Kemp was running for election originally, I spoke to him several times at various Republican meetings, GOP rallies, things like that. I went to his office and spoke to him a couple times. I mean, it's not like Brian Kemp and I are drinking buddies, right? We don't send each other Christmas cards, but we hugged when we ran into each other at the MAGA rallies. We've had a couple of good close conversations, and he told me more than once when he was running for governor that he was a constitutional carry proponent, right? I asked him about it a couple times, and he never had a good answer for me. But he always told me that he was 100% for constitutional carry, but for some reason he didn't campaign on that position, and he never gave me a good reason why. And let's not forget, Brian Kemp also failed to veto the hate crime bill in Georgia. That right there, all by itself, is nearly enough for me to say you can't vote for him.
Yeah, hate crime. Because somehow crime is worse if you're pissed when you do it. Sure.
No, Cameron, you misunderstand. Hate crime legislation says crime is worse if you're white when you do it.
Well, I don't know. It started to pop up and backfire on people the opposite direction, where you target somebody because they're a cop, and then it's like, well, wait a minute. But yeah, you have Vernon Jones in stark contrast. And y'all, if you don't follow Vernon Jones's Twitter feed, it's a fun thing to follow.
Oh yeah, even if he doesn't win his campaign, Vernon on Twitter has been an absolute comedy goldmine. He's aggressive, I think, is the word we're looking for. And I mean, like the top of his page, it's just him and the Donald in front of a wall of pictures of the Donald. In 2020, Brian Kemp betrayed President Trump and failed to secure our elections, costing us 2 U.S. Senate seats and likely the White House. Georgians deserve a fighter, not a coward. That's why I'm running for governor. I mean, the man, I got to be careful actually scrolling down this because Vernon, he'll say some things, man. As governor, let me make this pledge right now. I will never lock down this state again. I don't care how hard the left tries. So, I mean, to be running for the Republican office, and he's absolutely saying all the right things.
And more than once, he has tweeted that when I am governor, I will push for Georgia to be a constitutional carry state. And that's important because we're not just talking about the Second Amendment, we're also talking about the 10th Amendment. State law states reaffirming constitutional protections actually increases constitutional protections because of the 10th Amendment. If it goes to the Supreme Court, which if it's going to, now would be the time, by the by. But if it goes to the Supreme Court, having both the Second Amendment and the 10th Amendment on your side would be huge. And if it really comes down to it, if things get ugly and things get bloody, well, you have everybody that's in the state, all the cops, all the National Guard, whatever, that's assigned to the state of Georgia, their primary duty is going to be to uphold the laws in the state of Georgia, right? They've got their oath to the Constitution of the country, and they have their oath to the Constitution of the state of Georgia. And if the state of Georgia says, no, you cannot take my AR-15 away, no, you cannot take my 9mm away, and no, you cannot restrict my right to carry based on some arbitrary rule that you passed 800 miles away in some building most people never visit in their entire life, then no, in fact, you cannot do that. It's really an outgrowth of the sheriffs that say, oh, well, I'm a Second Amendment sanctuary county. Like, I live in one of those.
Right.
Okay. my sheriff is going to get reelected for life on that alone. Like, seriously, he'd have to be caught with a live boy or a dead girl at this point to get thrown out. It is what it is. But yeah,
Cam, Vernon shared a meme. I was just showing it to the audience there. It's a picture of Biden making a stupid face that says, "If you're making money during the MLB All-Star game, you ain't black." Yo, that's...
Damn.
Because if y'all aren't tracking... excuse me. If y'all aren't tracking on that, the MLB All-Star game was supposed to be at the new stadium in Atlanta, which is... the area around is about 50-50 black and white, and they moved it in a show of boycott against Georgia for passing voter reform bills, calling it, it's voter suppression. Yeah, that's it. Anything to secure the vote against amphibious priapism, it must be suppression. If people who aren't allowed to vote, or people who are allowed to vote but decide they want to vote twice, are prevented from voting illegally, that's called voter suppression, guys.
Yeah.
They moved it. But they moved the MLB game to, I don't remember where they moved it to, but it's one of the states that's like 95% white.
Well, and here's what's funny. They moved it to Colorado. Colorado actually has similar election laws on the books. The only real difference is Colorado has made it easier for everybody to vote by mail. But everything else about the way their elections work is virtually identical. So...
Right. For example, you have to have voter ID. Okay, so
yeah, exactly.
let's talk about constitutional care. We did a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and ditch the scorecard. There we go. So, new states considering constitutional carry in 2021. This article is a little bit older than I would like it to be. It's from mid-March. In 2020, we saw a record number of sales of firearms. Estimated 5 million of those sales were first-time buyers. The data also shows that 40% of those first-time buyers are women.
That makes me happy.
Dear feminists, if you call yourself a feminist, okay, there's already a lot wrong with you there. But if you call yourself a feminist and you think that means that you're for equality, okay, there's still a lot wrong there, but if you think that being a feminist makes you for equality, I'm sure that you guys know somebody like this. I doubt that anybody who fits that description is watching right now. Feminists tend to be far left Marxists. But they're not quite the hardcore far left Marxists that have read enough Marx to realize that, oh no, Marx said that you should never surrender your weapons. You should never surrender your arms, and every effort to deprive you of those arms should be frustrated by force if necessary. So, Cameron, do you know what all Marxists have in common?
They're not as smart as they think they are.
They haven't read Marx.
Yeah, and I like where you're going with this. It's a point I've made on this show many, many, many times. If you're a feminist and you don't own a gun, then you're not actually a feminist. I mean, period. You want to be equal? Boom. Men and women can. That's one of the things men and women can do equally. In fact, in our country, the pop culture figure of shooting is Annie Oakley. When you think of like the best shot in American history, many people think of Annie Oakley. And it's funny, her legend has not penetrated to the kids. I wonder why that is.
That's a good question. Maybe, dude, there's some content we could do. We could just pick up the mad lads that Dankula's missing, and Annie Oakley might be a good one to start with.
Well, she'd be a mad lass, but
I'm comfortable with that. Hey, brother, I mean, our numbers this morning are telling me clearly that just putting a sexy woman with a rifle on the thumbnail is doing the right thing, is working in the right ways. But
Oh,
yeah, so
I'd be all for doing a deep dive on Annie Oakley. Her and her husband both did absolutely amazing things.
hell yeah. So I've got two anecdotes that I want to share that relate to this. There's some more demographic data here that the ethnicity and gender were pretty well mixed, pretty evenly mixed. And just anecdotally, I went to, and Alex is with us. Good morning, Alex. I went to a gun show here in Georgia. What was this, Alex? It was late December, early January. The local GOP had a table at the gun show. We were signing up voters to registering voters. And guys, this is a gun show, right? This is hillbilly heaven. But for the several hours that I was there, the attendance was a little more black than anything else. There were a lot of, and it wasn't like gangsters coming in either, right? It's that's not what I'm getting at. These were families, right? I saw a lot of young, professional-looking black men with their wife and a couple of kids coming in, looking at guns, buying boatloads, spending, I was watching these guys buying case upon case of 5.56 at like $1.50 a round, and I'm thinking, damn son, maybe y'all should have stocked up when the stocking was good like the rest of us, but it's not my fault you missed the boat. And then on the feminist front as well, Cameron, I want you to tell this story because you're the one that actually had a conversation with her. You remember the tiny little lady that makes the pretty purses? Tell them about that one.
Okay, so years ago when we went to the NRA convention in Atlanta and the
and real quick, Steve's watching, and I did all the heavy lifting, sent all the emails and all that, but it was Steve that got me pointed in the right direction to actually secure for the Brushfire Mind when we had like 27 subscribers. White House press passes for this NRA event, which is how we got to be there, not only without having to pay the entry fee to get into the CNN building for the 15 acres of gun show, but we also had our own special dedicated room with all the other reporters with coffee and pastries, and it was freaking awesome. So Steve, hats off to you, baby.
Yeah, it was just the best. It was
awesome.
The best. Yeah, so we found a company called Gun Totin' Mamas, and what they did is they made purses that were actually cute purses, but they were built specifically so that you could conceal carry in the purse, and it was extremely easy to either draw your firearm from the purse or shoot through the bottom of the purse if needs be. And one of the founders of the company was this woman. She wasn't even 5 feet. She was like 4'11". Like you could have picked her up and threw her like a spear. That's how tiny she was, right? And she and Chris are going back and forth, giving each other a hard time about who can outdraw who. And then she looked at him and she smiled and she said, "Yeah, but I promise I can shoot you through the bottom of my purse before you draw. I would win." It was hilarious. And I asked her, I said, "Okay, but what if you have to do that? What if you shoot through the bottom of your purse?" And she said, "Oh, well, we replace your purse for free." I was like, yep, there you go. That's one way to get her done. But the other thing that you talk about, seeing that wide mix of people at these shows, you've never been around such polite company, such a wide variety of ages, ethnicities. It doesn't matter. The thing about gun culture is there is a gun culture, and everybody is welcome, and everybody is polite, and everybody voluntarily follows the rules. It's why we talked before about why I believe that there is an assault on gun culture itself, why they keep hammering that stupid gun show loophole thing, even though there is no gun show loophole. They don't want family and friends to spread gun culture to other family and friends. And constitutional carry really codifies that. It makes it almost impossible for it to not spread, because it's a thing that'll happen. Like you might see somebody with a gun on their hip. It's like, oh, what you guys? Oh, well, I got a Glock and blah blah blah. And you have a quick little conversation and whatever. And now you've made a buddy, and it reinforces the positive aspects of gun culture. So, for all the reasons, it's just an utter failure that it has not happened here in Georgia yet. It really is. In fact, no matter where you are in the country, even if you're in California, if I were you, I'd be writing in and be like, look, we need constitutional carry. That's what we need.
Okay, real quick. I just looked up gun-toting mamas on Facebook just to really reiterate this point. This woman in the front and the middle here, Cameron can't see, but y'all can see. Yeah, she's a tiny little lady. She was maybe staring me in my hip.
Ooh, but that gleam in her eye when she said, but I promise I can shoot you through the bottom of my purse first.
Yep.
It was just like, Chris, I think she's got you, buddy. I think she's got you.
So, yeah, so we've got, 7 new states added constitutional carry this year. It is worth mentioning, and I think we'll kind of wrap up on this without going into too much detail. Constitutional carry does not quite exactly mean constitutional carry in each of these states. The individual laws of these 21 states are probably more correctly referred to as permitless carry, and they vary slightly from state to state. Some still restrict the places where you can carry long arms. Some still restrict. I think we just lost Cameron, so y'all could just see me for a little while. Some still restrict the places where you can carry long arms. Some still restrict the kind of places where you can carry your concealed daily carry pistol. But for the most part, if it's a constitutional carry state, you can carry open or concealed without a permit. Now, several of the states are still constitutional, which call themselves constitutional carry states. They still have a permit that you can apply for, and Rep. DeHoon, yes, Michael, I'm exercising my right to keep and bear arms. Anna Carbonell just shared a link. I tell you what, I'm going to open that link and take a look at it. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I tell you what, Anna, I'll read that. And that headline, that might be something that I come back on and do I might do a pop-up live stream later to talk about that. That is an interesting headline. Thank you so much for that contribution. You did break my train of thought, though, so shame on you. And, Michael, I'll give you, since somebody else has gotten it today, I'll give you the top comment for the right to bear arms joke, because that is, in fact, the reason for the season. So, the problem with permitless carry states is that the restricted you can carry far more than here in Georgia with a permit. Yes. That's why Georgia Carry has opposed permitless carry here, because it'll come with more restrictions. Correct. What we want is... So, properly said, a constitutional carry state would be a state that has no gun laws. I mean, no gun laws. And to put just not to put too fine a point on that, but let me be clear. I mean that to murder someone with a gun is not illegal. To murder someone is illegal. The use of a gun is irrelevant. Right? So there should be no gun laws. And in fairness, Cameron backed me up on this just a little bit, but barely. And he pointed out, well, what about not discharging a firearm in public places? Well, that I think is okay, because here's what we're talking about there. We're talking about a law that restricts conduct, but you don't have a Second Amendment right to fire a weapon anywhere you want to under any circumstances you want to fire it. What you have is the right to keep and bear arms, which shall not in any way be infringed, which is to say that nothing shall be placed around the right to keep and bear at all. Right? A magazine restriction, a restriction on style and size and color, none of that is reasonable. None of that is constitutional or lawful. But to say it is unlawful to discharge your firearm in a crowded movie theater, well, yeah. Right? I mean, you can be arrested for setting off fireworks in a crowded theater. And like Steve says, no shooting in the air inside a bar to make a point. I can agree with that, right? But again, what you're talking about there is not a law that restricts your right to keep and bear. What you're talking about there is a law on not using the firearm irresponsibly. Just like there should be no law that says I can't walk around the street with a butcher knife in my hand. What if I happen to be a butcher? Right? However, if I run up and stab somebody with the butcher knife and they expire, then I have committed murder. That I killed that person with a butcher knife is completely irrelevant to the crime of murder. It is the act. Right? The elements of a crime are actus rei and mens rea, the guilty action and the guilty thought. There's no materia rei, right? There's no guilty equipment. That's ludicrous. That's unintelligible. And if for no other reason, then you cannot outlaw everything that people can kill one another with. You cannot take the power to kill away from people by outlawing their access to items. That's not possible. Okay, I can beat a man into submission so he'll stop wailing on his girlfriend and run away from the Waffle House with a cigarette machine if it's the only thing that's handy. I've seen me do it. You cannot eliminate the ability of people to cause one another harm. And lawfully, you cannot restrict the ability of people to defend themselves from having harm caused to them, or from defending others who are having harm caused to them. So I can run down this rabbit hole for days, y'all. We're at the half-hour mark. I love you. Thanks for watching. It is the weekend. Y'all be safe out there. Don't fry bacon naked. Don't drive drink. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, farm animals, videotape, and firearms, because it's Friday. No two at the same time, and you should be okay. Y'all take care. Be safe. Love you. We'll see you Monday morning. Okay. I gotta pop back on for just a second and mess with Steve because I'm gonna grammar Nazi you a little bit because this sentence made me almost I just about snows my coffee, brother. And I don't felonies being felonier if you have a gun, even if it isn't used. I agree. Well played, my man. Well played. Here, let's have another. I'll give you a freebie because we're after the credits. All right, love you guys.